There you go. So video games, it has increased significantly, but also diversified in recent years. We're seeing that this is a realm that has witnessed a really explosive growth with a staggering 5 million users worldwide engaging in various forms of digital media use. We see that digital media applications, including things like video games and also social media applications, are now expanding to include embedded virtual reality features. So things like virtual worlds, but also virtual self-representations. So these features are not only enhancing the attractiveness and the engagements of these technologies, but also serve many, many benefits. It's socialized, it's transformed the way that we socialize, the way that we learn, the way that we work, the way that we shop. And they've brought us really advanced ways for improving our lives, from enhancing those socialization skills to promoting well-being through what we call gamified educational tools, serious games. But much like a double-edged sword, we see that excessive digital media use has been associated with many, many detrimental outcomes. And these range extensively from poorer academic performance to the unfortunate passing of a 13-year-old boy who was suffering from gaming disorder. So with these alarming figures, we have to consider what are the resources and how can we support those who are perhaps tackling gaming disorder. We see that approximately 4.6 of the population is grappling with excessive gaming use. So this has really prompted the need for diagnostic frameworks. And we see that these figures and concerns have prompted the American Psychiatric Association back in 2013 to recognize that gaming disorder is a provisional disorder. But we also see that the World Health Organization had formalized gaming disorder as a diagnosis back in 2018. So much like many of us, we're probably wondering, how can someone be addicted? What causes someone to be addicted? Well, much like other addictions, we see that internet gaming disorder is quite complex. It involves many, many interactions, factors. And the first one that we look at is who? What is the person? What are they bringing with them? And we refer to this as the individual risk factor. So individuals who are most at risk for things like internet gaming disorder are predominantly male, adolescent. They might have specific personality traits, things like high neuroticism, low emotional stability. We see that individuals are motivated by things like achievement, escapism, especially those who might have a pre-existing psychopathological condition, things like high rates of anxiety or high rates of depression. Those are the ones that are more vulnerable to, excessively gaming as a maladaptive coping mechanism. The second is where, the real context around that person. How is this person surrounding, perhaps pushing them to escape online? And we refer to this as the environmental risk factor. So environmental risk factors, those are the poorer family functionings, the poorer parent-child relationship, perhaps that they're experiencing challenging peer interactions, things like bullying perhaps. And all these things increase the risk of developing internet gaming disorder. So adolescents who might be facing those social difficulties offline, so family conflict, or maybe they're experiencing bullying, often turn to those online gaming for social fulfillment. And that creates that feedback loop of reinforcing that excessive gaming and heightens the risk of internet gaming disorder. The third is where virtually. What's pulling them to the game world to stay online and engaging them? And this is referred to as the gaming-related risk factor. What we know is that video games are designed to maximize player engagement, and they use psychological elements like operant conditioning, social dynamics, those narrative appeals, and it's very similar to how we would operate with gambling, where they have that irregular reward that really keeps people hooked. And we also see that there's immersive features, things like high-level graphics, identity customization, varied gameplay, all catered to different emotional and also psychological needs, both enhancing those short-term engagement, but also the long-term potential of addiction. So it's the interaction between all these factors that lead someone to be addicted. So, in understanding why not all gamers develop something like gaming disorder, research suggests that certain psychosocial and personal factors may predispose someone to this condition. So, one of the key factors that I'm particularly interested in is related to the self concept. So, this refers to how people view themselves in terms of maybe their skills, maybe it's their abilities, but also maybe it's their appearance. So, what we see is that the self concept is often divided into three aspects. We see the first one being the actual self. How is the pure person realistically seeing themselves? The second is the ideal self. Who would they like to become? And the third is the ought self, who they wish they should be. So when there's a large discrepancy between a person's actual self and ideal self, this can lead to distress, pushing them to try to align these two versions of themselves. So in the context of something like internet gaming disorder or gaming disorder in general, individuals with things like low self-esteem or maybe having some psychological challenges may create avatars that reflect their ideal self, using that virtual world to perhaps compensate for the defects they perceive in their real life selves. And this process often it is often a temporary relief, right? They can contribute to development of disorder gaming behaviors as they become much more reliant on that idolized avatar. So avatars is a word that you're going to hear quite often in this presentation. So avatars are they're a dual role, right? They're acting not only as a visual representation of the player, but also as a medium for interactions, perhaps self-expression within the virtual world. And they extend much more beyond just that visual aspect. They can serve as a self-expression, identity construction within these virtual spaces. So avatars could offer a really unique opportunity to examine the interplay between someone's virtual identity, but perhaps even their players' offline behavior. So by embodying this character, we can imagine that the avatars offer that insights into the player's perhaps choices, maybe the actions, obviously in the virtual spaces, because they encompass a lot of interesting factors, things like what are the appearances? What are the clothing? What are the accessories? How are they interacting with those in-game entities? Could be in the virtual world or other players, or even extended into other communities, virtual communities. So the bond between the player and their avatar often involves this psychological attachment that gradually strengthens over time. The user-avatar bond. Okay, so it's believed that this kind of bond that we form, what we call the user-avatar bond, is quite significant, but also bidirectional. And we see that the user-avatar bond is often containing three different channels. The first one that we have is identification, whereby the gamers fuses their identity and self-perceptions with that of their online representation. The second one we see is the immersive channel. This is where the needs, the drives, the in-game priorities of the avatar often dominates, and the thoughts, but also the feelings of the gamer, both offline, but also is prioritized to the gamer's real-life needs. The third one is the compensation idolization channel, whereby the gamer may counterbalance through the avatar's real-life defects. So that could be related to things like appearances, but also behavior. Perhaps they would like to be more confident or maybe more assertive, and they demonstrate that through their avatar. And to an extent, it's representing their ideal self, who the person wants to be in the real world. But it's also not to forget that the bond between the user and the avatar has been shown to be related to age. So the younger an individual is, the longer they assume a specific avatar identity within their space, the greater the likelihood that their behavior, but also their self-perceptions, will be influenced by the characteristics related to their avatar. We see that studies have suggested that individuals who experience a time-lengthy and strong bond with their avatar tend to demonstrate their desired qualities. So this phenomenon is really, really, really common among gamers who have high levels of avatar identification, who might create an avatar who is idolized to bridge the gap between their actual self, but also their desired self offline. And this behavior is often shared with those who are experiencing things like depression. So indeed, we see that these psychological qualities of the user avatar bond has been suggested to provide information about that person's offline well-being, including things like mental health conditions, like depression. So a player may create an idolized avatar identity as a form of escapism or compensation from their depressive symptoms. So while this function could be initially positive, it could in the long term adversely impact that individual's psychological well-being. This is because they realize that the gap between their actual self and their idealized representation could potentially intensify those feelings of depression. And we see this in past research that some players construct an idealized version of themselves projected onto their avatars as a means to perhaps address their depressive feelings, but in turn, it actually is associated with a larger actual self discrepancy. So in video games, where a player might use this as a safe place to feel closest to their ideal self, it could be a means to navigate perceived inadequacies in their actual selves. And the motivation to continue with this behavior is often driven by the desire to remain in that reducted self-discrepancy, which then obviously leads to the development or increase of mental health problems. And we see this is further supported by things, by the research linking that user avatar bonds to behavioral disorders, things like gaming disorder, but it's also highly related to mood-related disorders, things like depression, anxiety, etc. So it's been suggested that could we translate or perhaps interpret this unique user avatar bond into the assessment of depression risk? And could this be potentially a really promising cyber phenotype pathway? So the potential of avatars as a digital health marker within this cyber phenotype framework affords new possibilities for exploring and perhaps assessing mental health. Could this be a unique opportunity to promote easy, large-scale, cost-effective assessment? Decoding that health information that perhaps is embedded within the user avatar bond. Could we train algorithms to give us automatically these responses? Can we use the avatar bond to tell us who is at risk for things like depression, anxiety, and maybe disorder gaming? For the purpose of this presentation, we'll only look at depression. So I've been talking a lot about this cyber phenotype, so I'll give some context before we go on to the results. But in our study, we explored the concept of the extended phenotype. And this includes not only physical traits, but also behavioral expressions that arise from a person's genetic makeup and life experiences. So the idea is that if we can expand this into the digital world, and this gives rise to that cyber phenotype, which focuses on how a person's online behavior can perhaps provide clues about their mental health. We can see that digital footprints, things like a person's pattern of internet usage, the way that they're interacting with their avatars, can signal mental health risk. So for example, behaviors like disturbed sleep or disturbed eating patterns offline are often indicators for things like mood disorders. And we see that this is similar with online behaviors like excessive gaming or excessive social media use. It often reflects issues like depression. When we're talking about depression, this is often characterized by things like low mood, perhaps low lack of interest or poor energy, and this may lead someone to seek relief through their excessive online activities, such as gaming. So in this case, this behavior aligns with the theory that we refer to as the self-medication hypothesis, where people are using games to perhaps escape real-life problems and effectively delaying proper diagnosis. So in our study, we looked at avatars, that digital representation of users, as a key part of this cyber phenotype. They often serve as idealized versions of the self, reducing the psychological gap between how a person feels about themselves and for understanding how people could cope with depression within virtual environments. So by studying this behavior or cyber behavior, we gained a unique perspective on mental health, perhaps allowing for things like early detection of issues like depression based on how people are using digital platforms. So how do we do it? So we explored the potential of the UAB, the user avatar bond, as a potential digital phenotype, we longitudinally assessed over 500 adolescent and adult gamers across 4 waves every 6 months. For the purpose of this particular project, we utilized only wave 1 and wave 2. We employed machine learning recipes on RStudio to address the risk for depression as an outcome. So the predictors included things like one's age, years of engaging with their avatars, their reported identification, immersion, compensation, and we emphasized predictors at wave 1 and the outcome at wave 2. And based on these responders, we were classifying participants as either being at risk or not at risk for depression. Considering our steps, our data was imbalanced. We used synthetic minority oversampling technique, or SMRT for short, and these classes were matched to be close to equal considering the outcome variable, which is depression, before we trained our algorithms. We then split up data into a training and testing sample, with the majority as training and the minority as testing. We then prepared the testing recipes. We defined the models and the workflows with binary depressant risk at time 1 as the outcome, and age and gaming and all the avatar identification, immersion, and compensation all serving as predictors. Trained the workflows, tuned the workflows that required tuning, considering the hyperparameters, and then finally we tested the workflow on the testing data. And then the process was repeated again for prospective depression risk at time 1 at the 6-month part. Oh, that was a wordful. And this process was repeated with the time point 2 as the outcome. Okay, main results. So considering depression risk at time point 2, we had around 274 participants being below the threshold. So this means that they weren't at risk of depression, but we did have 19 participants above the threshold. So what this suggests is that idolization and compensation are the most significant predictors of depression risk, which indicates a really significant and important relationship between the user avatar bond aspects, but also mental health. It supports the findings that players may create an idolized avatar identity as a form of escapism, or perhaps to compensate for psychological distress, which in turn may indicate that maladaptive coping and eventually create larger actual self discrepancies, which is likely linked to that reduced well-being. So what we see is that the association between avatar idolization and compensation and depression risk appears quite complex rather than unilateral. Not all gamers who customize their avatars in an idolized manner present with that maladaptive behaviors like depression and vice versa. Certain behaviors like drastically enhancing their avatar compared to one's actual offline self may represent that dysfunctional compensation and therefore more depression proneness. And we see the same for extensive idolization with their avatar. Perhaps it's to avoid offline issues, including things like depression. So, in summary, we see that the ability to predict depression risk from the user avatar bond demonstrates the value of contextualizing this really unique virtual relationship as a cyber phenotype. Just as we would with a physical phenotype, it provides information into health, the way users customize, relate to, interact with their virtual environments or virtual identities could offer quantifiable data, which might provide information on things like psychological well-being. Okay, we have just the classifiers, just for those who might be interested. We used many classifiers in this project. So there was random forest, there was least absolute shrinkage selection operator. We used K nearest neighbors, support vector, machine kernel, X gradient boosting, random forest, native Bayes, logistic regression, and these were all compared with the null model to both their default versions as well as after tuning their hyperparameters using the cross-validation and boost strapping version of the training dataset. And just for transparency, the exact code and findings can be found there if anyone is interested. All right, in summary, so our findings suggested that knowing the person's age, the duration of their engagement with their avatar, the intensity of their identification, immersion, compensation with, but also via their avatar, can be trained by using random forest to predict if one is more likely to present with depression risk. And just in case anyone is interested, there is the article there. You can find it complete at the QR code. So what is the take-home message? Well, We know that the user avatar bond can provide really interesting insights about that person's mental health in the real life. The connection between the person and their avatar opens up very a lot of opportunities if we consider things like community assessment, but also treatment. So from a community perspective, we know that both Australia and Indonesia are, significant consumers, but also producers of video games. We should be suggesting that gaming developers in these kind of countries should be considering things like designing avatars that reflect that authentic identity to minimize that potential harm. By promoting things like a realistic and diverse avatar design, avatars can foster healthier gaming environments and perhaps reduce the risks that are associated with that distorted representation. If we consider assessment, we know that individuals suffering from depression are often underdiagnosed due to that difficulty in verbalizing their mental health struggles, which means that perhaps we can have a mediated assessment via the user avatar bond, which could be a really excellent opportunity. Perhaps we could embed this UAB, the user avatar bond measures, into digital screening tools for things like early detection of mental health. That could be really useful. For example, if we have individuals who are overly idolizing their avatars, it may reveal some underlying psychological distress and perhaps be detected sooner and addressed sooner. And then finally, for treatment, we see that the user avatar bond, particularly elements like compensation and idolization, can really play a critical role in things like prevention and treatment of disorders. We perhaps should consider that clinicians put this into their case formations if they're dealing with similar issues. By understanding things like how a person's avatar represents their ideal self, perhaps practitioners can better address treatment strategies to address, the emotional but also the psychological needs that might be driving the excessive gaming and depression. So just to summarize, we see that the use of a user avatar bond is quite valuable to gather really meaningful health insights, but also to help with prevention and therapeutic approaches. Final take-home message, let's realize the potential while also experiencing or researching other forms of digital content can tell us about the online or offline worlds. References for those who might be interested. And thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Taylor, for the very insightful session about avatars, the self-concept, and opportunities for research and treatments maybe. So maybe before we move on to the next session, let's have a little documentation session with Miss Taylor Brown. And okay, so the people here, you can look at this camera right here, and we will have Nada here to take the picture with us.
Okay, so is everyone ready?
Perhaps we can start.
Okay, so everyone in this hybrid room, please look at this camera. Okay, so I'll be taking photos in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so wait.
Okay, let's take another picture.
Okay, let's take another picture. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Taylor Brown. So if the audience here in this room or in the Zoom call have any questions for Miss Taylor, please keep it first because we will have the Q&A session later after the end of the seminar. Okay. Now, let's move on to the next agenda. Okay. Now, let me introduce to you all our second speaker, Mrs. Eka Rianti Purbo Lindsay, the Okay, so maybe Mrs. Eka can come up here. Okay. Okay, so say hi to the people in the Zoom. Okay. Okay, Mrs. Eka. Wait, let me. So how do you feel today, Mrs. Eka?
Nervous.
Okay. But are you
Should I stay here or wait first to the camera?
oh, it's okay, you can just stay here because I think the camera can yeah. It can detect you.
It's follow you, follow me.
Oh no, it's still in
Here. It's no. I mean, should I start the camera? I mean, it feel yeah.
Oh,
So now
okay. Okay. So maybe before we get into the seminar, I will also introduce Mrs. Eka formally. Okay, so Mrs. Eka here is a lecturer at Faculty of Psychology, Universitas Padjadjaran, and she is also a PhD candidate at Maastricht University and Universitas Padjadjaran. She is also a registered social psychologist by Himpunan Psikologi Indonesia. Her research interests include areas of sexual reproductive, internet, and social media. And her research explores how Indonesian young adolescents and parents of adolescents use and perceive social media. So maybe we can start right into the session about social media, understanding the adolescent's new world. The stage is
okay. Thank you very much. So, we met again here. Today, I would like to share, Taylor, my research on, the influence of social media in adolescents' life. So, over the past few years, I interested in how the social media get very into the lives of the adolescents, especially in Indonesia, are get a headache because why should they do with this changing in adolescents' life? So I would like to know the a lot of adolescents use social media and they spend a lot of time using the social media, and most of us are connected this phenomenon to the negative impact that they have on while they are using social media. So my question is, it is only the negative impact, or they also have or get a positive impact from using social media? And what I found curious is, the adolescents in Indonesia, they are still, under the supervisions of their parents at home, teachers at schools. How these significant persons of adolescents influence the use of their use of social media. So today, I will share you about how we will understand this new word uh, in adolescents' life, especially in Indonesia. Next. So, during the past 2 decades, social media have changed the way people interact. The social media is the internet-based applications that build on the ideological and technological foundations of Web 2.0, which allow the creations and exchange of user-generated content. So it started in 2004, while Facebook are created. And after that, each year, the social media users are increasing sharply. When now there are 8.4 new user accounts each minute. So next, in 2000, so next. So in 2024, again, you should check. Yes. Once more. Yeah. There are 5.4 billion users around the world who use the social media. And then, next. People all of age group are using media, being use social media, right? How how many time durations do you use social media in each day? More than 2 hours? 7 hours? Okay. So worldwide, we spend 2 to 3 hours a day in using social media. You know that the survey said that now it's getting younger who are using social media. It's 15 to 25 years old, and mostly it's male. And the favorite social media, of course, Instagram, WhatsApp for social networking, and Facebook. This is worldwide. And they use social media. First, the reason is for keeping in touch with friends and family, feeling spare time, and reading news stories. Which one are you? Feeling spare time? All of it. Okay. So this is the demographic on the worldwide. Next. Yeah. And it's getting younger. The user of the social media is getting younger now. Most adolescents are used social media also. And we see that in the United States, Europe, and also Asia, they are so similar prevalences about the how many adolescents use social media. 90% of them have smartphone, and they are constantly in their faces use the social media. So interact with each other. And how about Indonesia? Next. Most now, in 2024, there are 139 billion active users in Indonesia. They spend 3 hours and 11 minutes in each day to spend in social media. And the favorite social media is similar with the worldwide, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook. And from the data from Indonesia, the most age group in social media is younger, 15 to 19 years old. Now we compare the reasons in Indonesia and worldwide. Feeling spare time is the first reason. Not keeping touch with the friends or family, but feeling the spare time. Is it right? Indonesian people? Yeah, okay. So when you get bored or not, have nothing to do, you just grab your phone and then do anything at your smartphone, right? And then the second one is keeping in touch with friends and family. And the last one is what's been talked about. So not reading news or story, but you are fear of missing out. You have to catch up with what's going on in your environment. Yeah. Okay. Next. So to find out more about the social media usage among Indonesian adolescents, we conducted a qualitative study with 13 adolescents and 15 parents with adolescents. So we asked the same questions to parents, to adolescents and parents. So we asked parents how their adolescent use social media and so on. Okay. The first one is about the social media platform. You see that adolescents mostly use Instagram, but parents usually all of them are using WhatsApp, you know. And Facebook is number 2 for parents. They still use Facebook, but the adolescents are using Instagram because it's more lively, but the colors and everything. Instagram, they like most more than the first. So when we compare Indonesians adolescents, Indonesians parents to the worldwide, the the activity they use, it's similar. In adolescents, we found that the social media used mostly for communicating, connecting with others, and then for entertainment, alleviating boredom, fill the spare time, and for educations, information seeking about your school subject or about also your hobbies. And their parents, when we compare to the work-life activity also, they mostly use for stay up to date on news and events, keep in touch with friends, and also fill up the spare time and network with others. So it's exactly the same. Uh, we can conclude that human in all over the world using the social media mostly for communicating and to keeping up with things going on around them. So next. So the second one, we ask the parents and also adolescents what activities they do on social media. You know, it's similar, parents and adolescents. We are grouping three social media activities that we found: social activities, practical activities, and pleasure activities. For social activities, like I said before, they're just not communicating with each other, but also maintaining, rekindling, or seeking relationship. Yeah. Adolescents, they are all not only maintaining, but also looking up for a new relationship, but not parents. Parents is only maintaining, or they are looking up from some old friends in the Facebook, to know to rekindling, but to have a new relationship, mostly done by the adolescents. Um, Adolescents mostly communicate with friends and also with their parents. The conversation is broad, from gossiping their friends, about their schools even, until when they have an argue with their friends, they make up with their friends through the social media. It's quite changing environment because in my time, when I have an argument with my parents, we are face to face, have a face to face communications, right? But the adults nowadays, when they have an argument with their parents, they talk on WhatsApp activities. Like I say, they are refining the old relationship they have with they a lot on all time on the face. Parents and adolescents also use social media for practical activities, such as buying goods from the social media. You know, they see the advertisement and then they buying goods from the some uh, store, and then they also seek information on the social media. The adolescents use the social media for seeking information about the schools and also their hobbies or artists or local player. That the parents, they seek information for recipes, for mother, how to make a good chapchai, for example. You know chapchai? Yeah. And then uh, how to uh, help your kids doing mathematics, something like that. So they use practical activities, but a different purpose. Um, the last one is creative activity. From what we have, we learn do this the first activity. Watching video and play and now. Parents also watching video. What kind of content they do watch? Read with it, and then we need to do something. And then parenting. Adult, they use YouTube. What content do they do? Game content, cartoon, yeah. Yeah. They watch makeup, how to beautiful for girls, boys is for online game. Okay, let's watching YouTube. Online games. Do parents play online games? Yeah, the price. Yes, they do. They do online games, but different kinds of games that the adolescents play. Adolescents play like PUBG, Mobile Legends, when they play together with their friends. But parents, what do they play? Tetris, Candy Crush, yeah, some things like play simulations, or kind of things, They play games. They have they're entertaining themselves, parents also, but different kind of need. Yeah? Okay. So next, we also ask how much they have confidence in using social media. We can guess what who is the most who is more capable, adolescents or parents? Adolescents, yes, that's also my guess, yeah. And then adolescents say that they are capable in using social media because they use it every day and they're not afraid to try anything, to push the button. And then they that they wrong or right by trial and error. So from that, they mastered the social media. But parents, they said that, oh, I have no time to play with the social media. I have house chores to do. I have to work. I have to, pick up my son and something like that. And also, they said that the WhatsApp, the standard functions of WhatsApp or Instagram is enough for them. So they think that they, you know, you do not need other applications, more functional applications, that they are satisfied with the standard functions of each of the social media. So, but parents say that adolescents, they're less aware of their lack of 30 adolescents that I asked, they never mentions that, oh, maybe I lack of time management. No, they never say that. The parents say that my sons, my daughters, he or she are, they forget about time, they forget to eat when they use the social media. So that also one of my findings, that the adolescent, they are feel confident in using the social media, but they're not aware that they are lack of self-control or time management when they do or playing with the social media. In the other side, parents, they are incapable of using the social media. They still ask the adolescents how to use this, how to use that, because they are busy with their home chores and others. So these two different words, how they are have influence in the future social media uses of adolescents, we will find out it later. Okay, next, we also find out that the adolescents and parents know the benefits of using the social media. Yeah, like the activities, three groups activities that they do, social activities, uh, practical activities, and the pleasure activities. They also gain benefits from that. Like from the social activities, they gain the emotional benefits. They said that using social media can enhance their mood. I found it in which group that they say that when I use social media, I feel happy, I feel positive feelings. Yeah, I think yours, yeah, at the second group. Uh, because it can provide them with consolations and happiness, they can relieve their boredom. And also, the social media or their smartphone are always there when they're needed, you know? Not maybe not friends in physical environments, but smartphones, you are easily grabbed it and they are always there to fill up your spare time. And also, they said in social media, it can provide them an outlet to simply express emotions. Must be a cautious things, because they means that when they are upset in real life, they can express their emotions through the social media, and you get angry with others, say negative things on social media because they was upset in their real life. That's maybe it's dangerous things that we keep that. And then social benefits, like easier to get contact with, contact people, or then to feel connected. This is important for adolescents, to feel connected with their friends, always connected. Yeah. Not only when they at schools or at the course, but constantly connected. This is very important in adolescence, and they can exchange news, informations, or gossip, and even at schools. And they said that when they have a new friends in social media, it can broaden their social networks and they get rid of feeling lonely. And the practical benefits, uh, they gain so much knowledge, a lot of knowledge from social media. My daughter learns Korean language through with the social media, and then you know, uh, scaling up your hobbies and know about the trending issues, and also for the school lessons. Yeah. Okay. Next, they also know about the risk of social media. When I asked the adolescents and parents, also we have three groups of the perceived risk of social media. The first thing that they frequently answer is the social media disrupt their daily activities and learning process. They forget to eat, they forget about time, they forget to study or doing their homework, procrastinate when asked to do something by their parents. For example, uh, please clean up your room. Okay, I do it later. Okay, I do it later. They procrastinate what the parents say. And then also uh, they disrupt the learning process because when you see at the schools, they're doing their task, school subject, but they're watching YouTube, right? Yeah. So they said that it ruined the concentrations because while I'm doing my homework, I watch the YouTube. And then also the parents said it addictive because you want it more and more and more and the last one is physical pain. So they have health-related drawbacks like headaches, back pain, eyesight, loss of eyesight. And then also they said they spend too much money, by buying the quota, the internet quota. And also because they see advertisements in the social media and then they buy something in that store. The second one is the social and emotional risk. We already talked about the social benefit, how they get so many friends in social media, how they can easily contact each other. But in other way, those friends are also doing something bad to them, something's negative, like cyberbullying. They spread gossips about someone's in the social media, and also when they are busy using the social media, they lost the face-to-face communications. They said that when I'm busy with using social media, I didn't know what my friends do next to me. Also, parents said that at home, when my kids are using social media, it's like they live in a different world because I cannot, they are not have an attention to my word, said like their parents. And the last one is informational risk. Yeah, it's negative exposure from the social media like pornography and then dating online. In Indonesia, it's a little bit problematic. And then also the privacy of the personal information. Okay. And next. So we can conclude from the first our research that the social media platform used by adolescents and parents are similar, right? And the activities that they do is also similar. Adolescents and parents recognize the negative and positive impact of social media. But parents add that sometimes adolescents do not realize that they lack of self-control, especially in time. Parents know the positive impacts of the social media, on adolescents' development. This is the important thing because parents see that the social media improve or help adolescents to fulfill their developmental tasks. Through online game, they are building connections with their friends, cooperations, problem solving, autonomy, and then something else. The parents know the positive impact of the social media. But what we found different from parents and adolescents is their capability of using social media. Parents is more unskilled compared to the adults. So if these phenomenons happen in Indonesia, they do activities the same, they have similar platform, but they do have different in skill in using social media. And then my question is, how these parents can go hand in hand with adolescents to supervise their use of social media? We cannot forget that this adolescent is still under supervised of the parents at home and teacher at schools. But with the difference in skill of using social media, will it be a problematic ones or I don't know. Yeah. And then next, we conduct the total research about the parental mediations. We ask Indonesian parents what kind of strategies that they use at home or everywhere to guide their adolescent kids. The parental mediation is strategies to maximize the positive impact of social media and to minimize the negative impact. It depends on the interactions they already have between parents and their children. It also depends on the age of the kids. When smaller kids, you cannot use that, you cannot use this. But in the older ones, you cannot do that, right? They will what? They will get angry, or rebel to you. So we should have another strategies when we face the adolescents. And then also in Indonesia, we have the cultural norms that can influence how parents interact with the adolescents. Mostly in girls are more prohibited to reaching out boys, right? Sometimes it also works in the social media. So parents said that, because you are adults, you did not contact boys for the first time. Yeah. Now, next. So we found these strategies that Indonesian parents do to mediate the social media usage. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are similar with the global north. From in Europe, in America, European parents also do these strategies. American parents do these strategies. We can make two groups of the strategies. This is the restrictive mediations, like its term, restrictive. So they mostly are restrictions to make for adolescents in social media usage. For example, access restrictions. Parents give rules when the adolescents want to play the social media. Like, okay, you only have 3 hours. Or you can use social media at the living room, not in your bedroom. Or you can use social media after you wash dishes. That's access restrictions. Interaction restrictions is restricted, rules that the parents give to the adolescents while having the social media. Yeah, like, please do not communicate with strangers and something like that. Technical mediations, this is rarely used in Indonesian parents because, the incapability, they did not know. There is a software that we can put on the adolescent smartphone to manage the times of music. monitoring. This is, when the adolescent use social media, the parents is around them, picking up what activities they do in social media, what kind of content they watch in social media, and some things like that. The interpreter, this is enabling mediations. It's more like a discussions. It's two-way interactions between parents and children. Interpretative mediations, the parents help interpreting the content of social media, which online games are good for them, bad for them, something like that. And the supervisions also used. The parents, they play together with the children. Okay, we play Mobile Legends together because the parents wants to know who is their friends on the online game. And then the two strategies, I only found it in Indonesian parent. Modeling, parents did not give rules to the adolescents. They are doing or behave in the way that they want the children to do. Okay. And the last one is the non-implementations. They give prevailing norms, such as it's not good for you to disobey your children. It's prohibit in the religious belief. So the parents give the norms to the children, and the children must obey their parents. Okay. Next. Next. So my last word is social media is in adolescents' life. We cannot change it. We cannot prohibit them to not using social media. And the parents still have important roles in make the use the social media usage in more positive way from adolescents. I think that's all from me. That's all my research to understand the new world of social media. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Eka. Okay, so now I think before we get into the Q&A session, I want to wave hello to the people in the Zoom call. Can you share the screen? Okay, so there are a few participants in our Zoom meeting. There's Miss Sheila Brown, of course. There's Nada. There's Kanwal Shabas. Hello. Suchi, hello. Uh, Anna Jesse Adam, hello. Thank you for coming. Virus Gina, Hanum A, Rafi, Clement, Eko Prasetyo, Farhan Ai. Thank you all for coming. I hope you're having a nice day. And oh, there's also Kang Zahid. Hello, he's also in the back there. Okay, so um, now we're going to get into our Q&A session. Thank you so much, Maika, for the session. And if any of you guys want to ask questions to Miss Taylor or Mrs. Eka, our Zoom call. So, okay, Kanwal says impressive work. Okay, does anyone want to ask any questions? Okay. Can you come to the front so we can see? It's okay. Okay, okay. That's it.
I think this question goes to both Taylor and Baeka. I mean, we've barely scratched. Oh, my name is Dave. And my question is for both. We barely scratched the surface when it comes to online gaming. We haven't really talked about the more advanced online gaming like virtual reality and the metaverse and everything. And it's only going to get more advanced in the future. I want to know your opinion. How do you see the impact of that technology advancement in the future? Do you think they would pose more danger to kids or maybe even adults, social psychology, or it presents opportunity? So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dave. So maybe I'll give the chance for Miss Sailor to answer first, and then Becca can add her thoughts.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, that's a really great question. I think it's a combination of both. We're seeing many, many opportunities, but also the potential of risk. Um, as people's lives translate into this digital world, the implications are quite high. If we consider things like, the normal development of particularly children, that identity formation that we're supposed to be seeing and how that could, be impacted by people developing that sense of self in that online space, the implications are quite high. As I said in that presentation, we're seeing a lot of disordered gaming behaviors, but there's so many risk factors and so many implications of digital media use, educational impacts, work-life balance, is so many. But then there's also a lot of potential that we can do. There's this whole new area of serious games that we're seeing where people are, taking on the goodness that gaming and things can provide for educational, but also psychological interventions. So I think the way that we can reduce the impacts while also emphasizing those benefits is more consideration in terms of policy, what we can do to support those who are suffering, providing, proper treatment, but also hopefully getting some more recognition on this disorder so that we can provide those policies and also provide that treatment where it's necessary. But great question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Taylor. So,
Okay, thank you so much for the questions. Yeah, I agree with Taylor. My research stressed on the relationship between adolescents and their parents. And like Taylor said, it can be both sides. They have disadvantages, also advantages when they do the online game. Um, I cannot talk more about the negative impacts, but I think the online games is also the medium for parents and adolescents to connect with each other. Parents, they can play online games together, and through the online games, they will have a deep talk between them, and then it will help, strengthening their relationships each other. So let's make the online game, the more sophisticated online game in the futures, as a medium for parents and adolescents connect with each other. And then when in short way, let's parents be friends with adolescents through the online game. And then online games are made from the younger ones to the old ones. My fourth year's daughters, they already have the online games, but we can, as parents, we can you know take a seat together, and then we talk about what kinds of game that they play. So I think we can use the online game, like Taylor use the avatars to predict the depressive symptoms in adolescents. We can use also the online game for the positive way. Thank you for the questions.
okay, thank you, Ms. Sailor and Mrs. Eka. So, does anyone want to raise a question again? Okay, okay. So here in this room, there's. Can you introduce your name?
Okay, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Roshan Fikri Muhammad Ilham, or you can call me Roshan. I have such a question that I want to tell you first that I have interest in gaming disorder. I have research too about gaming disorder, intervention of for gaming disorder, and that's a wonderful topic that I want to explore more about it. So I have a question that do you have any plan about a future research about gaming disorder? What kind of research or the or you just want to continue about this topic about affective relationship or depression or maybe another kind of mental disorder? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Roshan. So maybe Mrs. Eka can answer first, and then I think this is questions for Taylor. Oh, Miss Taylor. Okay, so Miss Taylor, the stage is yours.
Yeah, that was a really wonderful question, and I'm glad you have as much passion, it seems, in internet gaming disorder as I. So that's really lovely to see. There's so many fascinating topics to go into within internet gaming disorder, particularly because it's such a new disorder that hasn't been fully recognized by so many organizations. So there's so many things that can be done. For me, my particular area is looking at that user avatar bond. So looking at how people express themselves. My interest is more going towards that, gamified environment. How can we encourage people to express themselves in that environment, but also reduce the harm? So I'm hoping that I can explore that in a little bit more, particularly, developing games, looking at things like women's violence or potentially how we can reduce disordered behaviors through that gaming environment. So yeah, there's lots and lots of areas that people can explore, but that's kind of my areas next.
Okay, does Roshan want to add?
This is just a response. Okay, this is that was very interesting, and I have one message to you, Mr. LeBron, and I hope in the future, uh, I hope in the future, can we be colleges?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a collaboration, but you maybe will wait for my PhD first.
Very
Okay.
exciting. I'm always open for PhD candidates. So yeah, you have my email hopefully, and welcome to potentially discuss your future. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Roshan, for the question, and Miss Taylor for the answer. I think someone raised their hands here too. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Taylor. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ai. I'm currently a final year undergraduate student here in the University of Padjadjaran. And it is quite interesting when you said there's a consideration when in the a gap of identity in an individual, they consider to be towards more to the ideal self when they create their avatar. So I was just curious in your research process. Oh, sorry. I was curious in your research process. Is there any finding that you encounter where maybe the people that does create their avatar as similar as possible to the reality or or the current situation of themselves can be considered as someone who maybe have a good well-being or condition in their life? And is it possible that it can be used as a measurement in the future to see the condition of the individual? Yeah, I think that's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, fabulous question. Absolutely. A lot of people, I mean, when I think of that question, I think of my experience with playing Sims, and maybe some of you have played with that game in the past of, creating yourself and maybe creating your future. And that doesn't, indicate any kind of problematic behavior. It's a fun way to express ourselves and explore our identities for sure. More so the problem is when there's that massive gap, in terms of I want to create myself as idolized as possible. And then that realization that I'm actually not that person. I don't have that strength. I don't have those qualities that I do in my game world. And what does that mean about me and the implications of that? In terms of your second question, we're actually in the process of looking into that a bit further. I just developed a new questionnaire, which looks at what are the specific deviations between how people are perceiving themselves, both offline and offline, and what are the actual qualities that people are, deviating from. So I'm hoping that with those measures and, continuing with machine learning and looking at the predictability of this relationship, we can kind of explore the specific domains that people are compensating with. But great question. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Taylor. May I ask one more question? Yeah, maybe I want to ask to Mbak Eka. Since I think there's been a really wild information regarding how does the majority of the young age in Indonesia is currently developing and behaving around technology, especially in social media, yeah. How they're expressing themselves. Is there any way that we can maybe do an intervention where that development path can still be on the right path, on the positive impact instead of the negative impact that everybody has been highlighting this past few years?
Thank you for the questions. My research is, heading to the interventions that way. In newspapers, we can easily find out the negative impact of social media. Yeah, it's following others. Yeah, we easily find the negative impact. People talking about addictions, people talking about the aggressions that they may be seen in the social media. But we noticed that the social media also have a positive impacts on the especially in adolescents, right? Regarding the identity, in Taylor, they made an avatar. In the social media, they project themselves pictures with more lighten their skins, more bright eyes or something like that. Maybe it will follow me. No. Okay. So that's also. So I just adjust the camera, not other way around. Okay. So what is that? Oh, my future research also, we would like to have the interventions not only for adolescents but also their parents, because we know that in Indonesia parents still play of influence on adolescents, and then through the parents, the adolescents would receive more positive benefits than the negative ones. Like a counter attack, this is the adolescents and social media. We can counter that relationship both with the parents and adolescents. But the homework is to make sure that the parents are catch up with this huge difference, because they feel that they incapable of using the social media, also catch up with the activities that the adolescents do in social media. So maybe that's also our homework, in this social media era. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak.
Okay, so are there any more questions? Maybe in the Zoom or here? This. Okay. Melanie, what's that? Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, my name is Melanie. So I want to ask about, how is teachers' role in handling adolescents' social media behavior? Here's my question. Thank you. Teacher's role, yes. Okay, so maybe we should take out.
Maybe you can add something, Taylor. Do you have any experience also?
Yeah, I can talk more generally. That's a really great question. I think it's the responsibility is many, and not just on the teachers but on the parents, like the really wonderful presentation we had today, also on policy and many things. But in terms of the teacher specifically, I think some considerations we need to have is how can we encourage, the positive sides like digital competencies and things like along those sections. And perhaps it's even, encouraging maybe learning within those digital spaces. There's a lot of moves, especially in places like America, where we're seeing education taking place in those virtual environments, and perhaps that will encourage more engagements from students, more interests. So I think there's a lot of ways that teachers can get involved to do this. Thank you for the question.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I can add something to Taylor's opinions. Compared to the Europeans or the United States, Indonesians' regulations about social media is still, questionable, because for examples, how old are you when you have permissions to use Instagram? 15 years old. The Instagram's rules, they must be 15 years old to have an account on Instagram. But you see nowadays, babies have Instagrams. Who make that? Parents. They want to show their babies, right? And that's just an example how the Indonesian's regulations also, we have to work with. And the teachers, like parents, I always positions the teachers as parents at schools. They have a lot of important role in how to mediate. To mediate the positive benefits that the adolescents can have from the social media. But like parents, teachers also feels incapable of using the social media. They feel that they are, more not update in the skills and some things like that. So my future research also wants to make the interventions not only for parents but also from the for the teachers, because we have a succeed program in sexual reproductive when they are involving teachers at schools. I think it will be the same. We can protect our children at schools with the teacher's role. Thank you for the questions.
Okay, so I think there's no more questions in the Zoom. No? Okay. One last question from Jacinda.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Taylor and Maika, for the presentation. I have a specific question, perhaps for Maika. I'm not sure if it's applicable to your presentation, Ms. Taylor, but if it is, you can also answer. So I saw one of the mediating strategies by the parents is called modeling strategy. So it was the parents show what they want the adolescents to do. And from my observations, I don't really see it from parents around me, at least like my friends' parents or my cousins' parents. They don't really show that. So I really want to know and explore more about the actual role in model when it comes to modeling strategy, because I don't think parents also are at least capable of holding themselves to not use their phones around their children, because they also have their own responsibilities, they also have their own needs. So I just want to know more about how modeling actually affects both social media usage and also perhaps gaming usage. So that would be my question. Thank you.
When I ask the parents what kinds of strategies that they use at home, some parents say that, well, I do not have rules for that because I know that the social media have benefits for my children. And when I restrict them, I think it will have a bad impact on my children. They cannot play with their friends. They feel excluded by their friends. And then this dilemma are answered by the parents by I give them no rules, but I behave in the way that I want my children to do. It's a simple behavior at home, like no social or no smartphone at the table, at the dining table, or no smartphone after 9 o'clock. That's the simple behavior that the parents told me, that from that model, I want to my adolescents is have a similar behavior with me. If we talk about the numbers, it's not popular in Indonesian parents. Your guess, in Indonesian parents, what kind of strategies that they most do? Restrictions. Yeah, they restrict everything, you cannot do this. Okay, so when they have their smartphones, they continuously remind the children, okay, you have to stop. Okay, you have to do this. Okay, you cannot do this. Now, that's the most strategies that Indonesian parents do from my research, but they also have the modeling strategies. So we cannot also close our eyes to that strategies. Or we can, maybe this is also some positive inputs for interventions. The parents is have an important role at home. Sometimes parents are still working at home, with their smartphone, answering WhatsApp, some things like that. Parents also have to restrict themselves and do some good behaviors at home, so the children will mirror their behavior. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Eka. And Ms. Taylor, would you like to add
I
anything?
absolutely agree. That's a really wonderful response. We also see the same in gaming. With modeling, the most important thing is just modeling good and balanced behavior. So, modeling that there's also a time of engagement in this kind of normal behaviors, in that normal gaming. So many children are gaming, or adolescents are gaming at this point. It's considered normal. But then there's also, engagement in other aspects of life, interacting outside the game, going to, sporting events or other opportunities for them to engage outside of that environment. But there's also, outside of that, there's also, encouraging good relationship within the parents, functioning conversations, and so modeling is definitely a part of gaming as well, modeling that balance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Taylor and Mrs. Eka, for the insights. Thank you. Okay, so maybe that will be the last question for today's seminar session. Maybe we can get a closing statement from Ms. Taylor and Mrs. Eka. Ms. Taylor, do you have a few words you'd like to say to us and the people in the Zoom call?
Yes, thank you so much for hosting this presentation today. And thank you so much for hosting our students at your university. We're really grateful for that opportunity that you provided to us. And I'm really looking forward to hearing everything that they've, all those perspectives that they've gained. So thank you on behalf of RMIT. And also thank you to the audience for, listening to this presentation and the insights. We're really appreciative of the opportunity to share our research. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Taylor. So for Mrs. Eka, maybe?
Maybe I can add something with Taylor. Thank you also to have us, Taylor, to share your experience in gaming also. And I hope these collaborations not end. We should have another research together, I think, with us,
Definitely.
or maybe someone from the UNPAD students will have the similar interest with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Eka. So, another thanks to Ms. Sailor Brown and Mrs. Eka for the very lovely lecture today. And I think to commemorate this seminar, we would like to have another documentation session with the people in the Zoom call, and also, so maybe you can set up the computer and We can come closer to the front so the camera can take a picture of all of us.
Okay, for everyone in the Zoom meeting, can you please turn on your camera? Okay, for everyone in the Zoom meeting, please turn on your camera. Okay. Okay, for Hanu, Rafi, Virus, and everyone else. Okay, so Conwell cannot open their camera.
I'm sorry, there is some technical glitch. It's not working. I'm sorry.
Okay, so for everyone else, if you would like to have your camera on. Okay. Okay, so is everyone ready here? Okay, is okay. You can look at this camera. Okay, so everyone in Zoom meeting is ready. I'll be taking picture in 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so one more. For 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so we'll be taking another picture with the people at the front and Miss Taylor in the Zoom call. Okay, and very lastly, before we end this seminar, I think from our committees from psychology, KUI have a little something we want to give to both Miss Taylor and also Mrs. Eka. So, uh, come. Okay. So, Miss Taylor, I don't know if you can see this, but we have a little souvenir for you. And
That's
maybe,
so sweet.
yeah.
Thank you so much. That's so lovely. Thank you so much.
Taylor, the gift will be sent by your student. So they will bring this to Australia, to Melbourne, to you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. Well, that's really sweet.
Thank
I
you so
really
much
appreciate it.
for thank you so much for your contribution to the seminar. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. So, this is okay. So we'll also be taking a little documentation with Master and Mrs. Eka. Okay. Wait, I will count down. Oh. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So, okay. And with that, our seminar on social media, virtual experiences, and gaming behavior has officially ended. I'm Jessie. I'm checking out as your MC. Thank you. So for the audience in the Zoom call, feel free to leave and continue with the rest of your day. I hope you have a nice day, everyone. And for the people here, I think we're going to continue with our closing ceremony and farewell for our MIT students. So feel free to stay in this room, or if you